favorite hot stuff. This is TRAXXfm's Momentum. You're hanging out with me, Diyana. I hope you guys are having a fabulous day. The second hour of the show, and normally I have a chat with a wonderful guest today, and I'm very, very lucky. I'm actually talking to Zachary, Roland, Anthony. He is a speaker, a trainer, a coach, and an assistant professor at University Tunku Abdul Rahman, and we're gonna, discuss about welcoming 2023 with a bang, obviously, and more importantly, in regards to inspiring, whether it is yourself, it is others. So without further ado, hello, Zachary.
Hi, Diyana. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
So how was your New Year's Eve celebration? Everything good?
A little quiet. As you know, a bit of restrictions by the government. But it was good because we kept it at family.
Oh, that's nice.
And it's nice to start things with family.
Yes.
That's the call.
Yeah, definitely. I had like a teeny tiny get together. It was just like the perfect touch for, the New Year's Eve, especially without like a lot of fireworks or anything of the sort. But then looking back into, 2022, I know it's like people are like, why do we want to look to the past? Let's just sort of reflect a little bit. How would you summarize your 2022?
Well, overall, it was a fulfilling year for me. I would call it awesome. But of course, with life, there is, it's laced with the sweet, the sour, the bitter moments.
Yeah.
We take it in stride. And for me, it was a good learning curve. Three things that I think I benefited much in 2022. I become more empathetic towards people.
Okay.
I mean, it's always been there, but it kind of moved up a notch. Some people say, I like your wisdom, Zach. And it's nothing to do with age, but I guess.
It's in the eyes.
Yes, and the more recent one brought about by my students and participants that I train, they say you're very inspiring. So these are not my words. Well, these are people that I've got in touch with, even family and friends. So I think there's some truth there. So for me, there was a lot of growth, but I foresee a greater growth in 2023.
Oh gosh, I love that. It's the stepping stone, isn't it? When someone says to you, you've changed my life. There is something about you that is incredible that needs to be, put out there because you can help others. Absolutely. I'm all about that. I'm very much into a, community person. So, we were looking at, in terms of your summarization of 2022, how do we move past last year and journey into the new year? Now that you have all of these ideas, these great things, how are you going to apply it for the new year? And maybe even how are other people going to apply new things into the new year?
Well, I would say things have changed after the pandemic and the world needs more empathy. And I think the more we reach out to people, the more we understand what life is all about for them as well as for us, we tend to forge better relationships. But I will always say this to anyone. We savor the good. We accept the bad, and we make changes where we need to make changes. We have to innovate. We need to strategize. Do not hold on to the past, but use the past as an experience to move on to the next level. I always believe that there is this famous saying, right? Yesterday's history, tomorrow is a mystery, today is a gift, hence is a present. So if you want a better tomorrow, then you got to start working on it today. So let go of the past, learn from your mistakes, but definitely don't hold on to the baggage because it's not going to do any good for us. That's the way I look at it.
That is very, very true. I mean, I think I've been told before, if you plan to fail, wait, hang on, you fail to plan and you plan to fail. Yeah, that's what the saying goes.
Yes.
But then when it comes to looking back, you don't look into the past to sort of dwell upon it, but you look more to it to reflect on what you can do it, because at the end of the day, it's all about the time that has been given to you now. It's what we choose to do with it, especially with the time that we have left. So I suppose in that sense, the doing part and the planning part, talking about New Year's resolutions. Now, golden question is, Zachary, is it actually effective? Do you think?
I've never been a believer of resolutions. Okay, in fact, that word is overly abused simply because of the fact that I've seen millions. I mean, if you look at millions on social media. And also friends of mine, relatives, everyone makes a resolution because it's a trend, right? It's a fad and peer pressure, so we tend to get into it, not realizing, are we prepared for a resolution?
Yep.
So I believe that resolutions are a mind game. It's mind over matter, simply because of the fact that if you have a positive mind to push yourself to achieve the resolution, because resolutions are firm decisions that you make to do or not to do something.
Yep.
So most times our mind is saying, yes, we can do it, but physically we may not be able to do it, or vice versa. So check your mind.
Yep.
All right. If your mind is not in the right perspective, then ask yourself what you need to do to improve. All right. And if it's negative, it's going to be the reverse. So why wait for something not to happen when you can make it happen? All right. So I always share this with these young people, especially. And I tell them, don't have too many resolutions. Don't have too many dreams. Focus on one at a time. Yes. Focus on, and it could be a very small area in your life, as long as you can see it happening, the changes are becoming a reality.
Yep.
Just be happy.
Yeah.
All right. Just be happy. Well, it brings me to a very important point why people may not be able to achieve their resolutions.
I see. Okay.
It's basically self-management. Yes.
You see, I am one of the masters of procrastination. So, I think for me personally, I have learned to sort of not put too much of a high expectation over the years when it comes to the New Year plan kind of thing. But what do you reckon is, the reasoning or even certain factors about the lack of achieving New Year's resolutions?
Well, I think for some people, it's basically the history, the past histories that have not worked for them. All right. So they see many times they have not achieved, but they still want to make it because their friends have made a resolution. So you on social media, you want to share, hey, what's your resolution? Lose weight? No? Okay, you want to study more, you want to travel more. But if you know for a fact that you cannot achieve it, let's be real. I'm a realistic guy. All right. So if you know it's not going to happen, then don't make that resolution. And it befalls you and it stresses you out. Yes. And that's why you become depressed. Agreed. So go for something that you know is going to happen. So check yourself. If you are not ready for it mentally, if you're not ready for it materially or physically, don't kill yourself. All right, because the joke will be on you, right? And you'll have friends who's going to tease you and they're going to ask you, hey, what's happening? I thought you had this resolution going.
Grand plan,
Your first 1 week was fantastic. What's happening? So we can become the joke. So rather be real.
I suppose. I mean, I do agree in that aspect. You definitely have to set your expectations. Be realistic about what you can achieve and what you can't achieve. So don't go overboard when it comes to planning bombastic New Year's resolutions. And the clown aspect, especially, I know that there are articles around online that say if you want to achieve a resolution or a goal, talk about it to everyone so you can hold yourself accountable. But then the next thing you know, you don't actually achieve it and you're like, ayo, like smack on the head. This is absolutely ridiculous. But it is something that you should consider. I mean, we are of a certain age. I'm of a certain age. How old am I? I'm 34 already. I forgot how old I was for a second. I'm 34 years old.
Track.
Yes, I have lost track. And right now, at this point in my life, my strive is to take things a day at a time. That's the best way I can do it. But I suppose as you are younger, you feel like you can achieve so much more. And there's so many things for us to discuss over there. However, we have to take a really, really quick break. So we'll be right back. I'm having a chat with Zachary, Roland, Anthony, a speaker, trainer, and coach. We're talking about welcoming 2023 New Year's resolutions. Whether you got it or not, why don't you let us know? What are your thoughts on that? #TRAXXfm every time you tweet. Preachers, is this how you feel? TRAXXfm. Hi Kylie Minogue spinning around TRAXXfm Momentum. You're hanging out with me, Diyana. Hope you guys are having a fab day so far, and continuing on a amazing conversation with Zachary, Roland, Anthony, the speaker, trainer, and coach, assistant professor at University Tunku, Abdul Rahman. We're talking about welcoming 2023. Earlier, we spoke about his summarization of 2022, his experiences so far as a speaker, even a motivator, more like it, and, you know, sort of moving past last year, journeying into the new year, and more importantly, the term New Year's resolutions, which he says he does not believe in. So the first question for now that I'd like to ask you is, what kind of, not New Year's resolutions should one have, but more of a goal, I suppose? Would that be correct?
Yes, Diyana. Something realistic, something achievable. And that comes back to the individual, right? Everybody knows their limits, their potential. And it's good to know yourself and make promises that you can keep, rather than make promises that other people make for you and try to live up to their expectation. Get yourself going into something that you know there is a great need for in your life. That's the best thing. And I would recommend young people, any age group, do something that makes you a better human being. That's your first priority. Then look at the other things that you want to achieve. You know, if you cannot become a better human being, why worry about what else you want to achieve? Because you will still not be progressive enough. And that's the way I look at it. So a few things you could ask is, you know, this question, like, who am I today? I ask this question quite often in a year, and it changes, right?
It's an existential crisis question, that one.
And all the time when I ask this question, the answer is like silence, you know, silence. And then later they smile and they tell me, no one has asked us this question. Why ask us now? I said, you need to know yourself. Why do you want to achieve this goal? You know, why is this goal important for you? You know, is it love, compassion, relationships, to be a better human being? Know your strengths, your weaknesses. You know, we tend to make, or rather define goals for ourselves without realizing what our strengths and weaknesses are. You know, you may need to improve a lot of your weaknesses for you to start progressing, but we are not doing it. Why? Could be laziness, could be procrastination, could be a lot of other things which is in our hands. It's not in the hands of the maker up there. It's in our hands because we have a mind to think, and we got to make that happen. And one thing that I would recommend is, don't compare yourself to your peers. You know, a lot of people do this. Hey, how come my friends are doing better than me? You know, we are the same age, we are same background, but they are doing better than me. Stop doing that. Because the moment you start doing that, you are actually driving yourself to the ground.
Do you know, it's very interesting that you're talking about comparing yourself to other people, but then also at the same time, there's the, the level of things that you want to achieve. You want to achieve so much, keep it, you know, more realistic for yourself. This is something that I would realize, even myself, that social media does have a role in the decision making of what it is that you want to achieve. Yes. So people might think of it as this Instagram influencer is my inspiration, my fitspiration. That's the hashtag fitspiration, right? Like, everyone wants to be fit. But then at the same time, if you feel like you have not achieved it so much, you tend to sort of compare yourself to this person, or even compare to your friends who are on social media posting up their fitness journeys, which is great. But at the same time, you look to yourself and you're like, oh, how am I not doing this correctly? What is wrong with me? So we live in a day of age where youth are constantly influenced by trends and cultures. So how should they set a fine line on what would be good for them and what they should try to sort of brush off?
Well, my advice to the young people out there, the orang muda, well, anchor your life on values. All right, because trends are not permanent. Yes, culture has a part to play in the definition of values, right? So anchor yourself, because we have to create a mind that is strong enough to take on these challenges in life. We have to listen to ourselves, who we are today, where we want to be. How can we make this growth happen in our life? But today, with so many distractions, Diyana, many people, especially young people, have no time to have this inner look that is so important to progress in life. Hence, they have a lot of difficulties coping with even the smallest problems in their life. So my suggestion is this, go with values. And your values could be many, just define what makes that value work for you. Are you that value is for you, then work towards it. As I said, trends are never permanent, but you see some of the trends the world is preaching today is basically going against the values of the world. The lack of respect, for example. Well, some of the influencers talk about material gain. What about your family? The family needs you. And if you're not able to put that into perspective, then we will look at family being extra baggage, right? And so trends may not be the best answer to drive our future on. Drive your future on values. So I would advise young people to also engage in positive vibes. Not everything that you see on social media is going to work for you. It may work for other people. It may not work for you. So try to find something that works for you, that resonates with you, and then you move on to become a better person. And my last point on this particular question is, what do you stand for? Young people, what do you stand for? What are your values? What are your personal values? What are your dreams? And the last one for me is an exciting one. What is the legacy you would like to leave behind? If you can think that far, then life becomes precious. Life becomes valuable.
Yes, because at the end of the day, one must remember we're here temporarily in this plane of life. In fact, it does not, I think we have to recall that we are not invincible, because Absolutely. As soon as we think that, a sense of your ego gets diminished. And I think an ego plays a huge role when it comes to really trying to define who you are, what you stand for, etc., etc. But how can youths actually prepare themselves mentally, whether it's for this year or for as long as they're in their youthful stage? I am still also youthful, but so then youthful, right? Yes, as are you. So we will never stop being youthful. So how do we
always think young? You know. Well, we know that life is demanding today. It's going to get worse tomorrow. I mean, that's the reality, all right? And the only thing that we can do, and my advice to young people, shape your mind. Okay, so I have 3 things that I would like to emphasize on. Number 1, realize that you need to improve. We need to realize that. And until and unless we realize that, we will never want to make changes. The demons in our mind, remove them. All right? And end of the day, these negatives that we have, we've got to accept. So we realize that we need to change. Number 2, we need to accept what these negatives are. We cannot say, oh, I'm just like everybody else. No, no one is the same as anybody else. Yes. So get rid of those negatives in ourselves. You know, it could be the simple thing of laziness. Well, I hear this quite a bit, but well, everyone is lazy, including myself at some point of time in our life. From time to time. Yes. We have it's good to be lazy because you don't get stressed out, but don't sit on it for too long. Yes. So learn to accept. And the third one is, of course, to act. You know, act on the things that you have replaced your negative deeds on. So once you remove your negativity, replace them with something positive. And until and unless you act on those, it's not going to work. So a lot of people tend to say that, I have this plan, I have this plan. I want to do something good for society. And next year you'll ask them, they'll say, I want to do it again, because they can't act. For whatever reason, they don't want to act. All right. So 3 things: realize, accept, and act. Words to our youth.
Very nice. All right. Thank you so much, Zachary. Now we'll be back. We're going to take a short break. Now remember, guys, you can stay in touch with me with the hashtag TRAXXfm via Twitter if you like, and share your thoughts with us in regards to, when it comes to wanting to achieve goals for yourself, or even preparing yourself mentally with all the distractions and all the unnecessary procrastination that you feel. Are you that procrastinator? Are you my buddy in that sense? Anyways, I'll be back shortly. Don't go anywhere. This is Bob Sinclair, Love Generation, TRAXXfm. This is Tracks Momentum. You're hanging out with me, Diyana, and we are talking to a very special guest, Zachary, Roland, Anthony, about welcoming 2023. And this is something that I feel has been highlighted earlier when it comes to asking yourself the very important question of who you are, what do you stand for, what is the legacy you'd like to leave behind on this planet. We were talking off air, and Zachary was sharing with me that self-reflection is very, very important and should be done sort of like every quarter to sort of really figure out where you are at this point of life. And it is so easy to dive into those distractions that we experience, especially the distractions like social media and, the influences that we can actually get unknowingly or knowingly. We have slowly turned into a self-centered society, so to speak.
Yes.
So we want to try to break out of that mold and live in the now and, sort of think about being a little bit more optimistic during these hard times that we're experiencing now. Could you share with us, Zachary, a tip or two on how to stay optimistic during these moments?
Well, one word is to brave ourselves, brave ourselves for potential difficult times, and always look at difficult times as a great challenge. That's how I've become better in my life. Don't look at the good side, because that doesn't allow us to grow. But at difficult times, yes. And I would recommend 3 things. Number 1, if you want to be positive, reduce your expectations. Don't have expectations you will never achieve, so reduce it. Number 2, believe that difficulties can only make us stronger. All right? And look at the big picture. It's not going to last for long. It's not permanent. Difficulties will come and go, but take the learning experience and then see how we can become better and stronger in the future. And the last one is creative thinking, something that young people would love to have. And I would propagate this to everyone, every Malaysian. Be a bit more creative in the way you look at life, your ideas, your problem solving, your perspectives. Always have more options and life will look much better for you.
I love that. It's like saying, you can use other people's experiences or what you see on social media as a form of inspiration, but don't allow social media for you to curate your own personality. Absolutely. Or to curate your own life, because that is not necessarily the benchmark, but it should be a way for you to see what are the different options there are in life in order for you to think more critically, analytically for yourself. But it has been an absolute pleasure chatting with you, Zachary. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but is there anything else that you'd like to share for our listeners that you'd like to say before you go? Yeah,
parting words would be this. As we embark on this 2023, let's not make the year a yardstick to analyze how well we did for the year, but look at every day as an opportunity. If you make every day count, then your year is going to be beautiful. So look at every day as a special moment to improve, to achieve, and to be nice to yourself. Very nice. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Diyana, for having me here. Not a problem. So I was chatting with Zachary, Roland, Anthony, speaker, trainer, coach, assistant professor at University Tunku Abdul Rahman. I reckon you could probably get in touch with Zachary if you ever have any questions in regards to, sort of just bantering about life, that existential crisis question. Who am I? Would love to. Would love over to. A cup of coffee or something like that. There's always happy hour. But anyways, thank you so much for being here with me. And I'll be back shortly. This is TRAXXfm.
Experience the excitement right here on TRAXXfm.